Hey everyone. Hey, it's your girl. I'm up this morning because I'm bored and I have insomnia. I've been up since about maybe 2:18 this morning. I sleep in like blocks, I don't sleep straight through. So I'm basically, I'm just gonna talk about some ish. It's gonna be basically about 25 minutes because I'm just going to test the waters. First of all, I just want to say thank you to everybody that's been viewing my content the last couple of weeks, even though the views aren't what I wish for them to be, especially given in the past when back in the days of YouTube, you could upload one video, one um video content or one, speaker content, and you would have literally in a day one or even 2,000, sometimes even 3,000 views. Or if it was a real good day, sometimes you would get like maybe five, or six. I remember those days. I miss the old YouTube because I don't know what's going on now with YouTube, but they not pushing the views, and I think it's the algorithm. So that's type corny, in my opinion. So I'm gonna just like talk about some topics, and just chat it up. I know some people are probably asleep, you know, and everything. So the first topic I do want to talk about, and I've been talking about this since God knows when, like even before I was even on YouTube, and that's the whole Monique debacle. And I'm gonna tell people this: I'm Team Monique all the way, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because I feel that Monique's blackballing, believe it or not, I don't think it just came from Tyler Perry and Oprah. I don't think Lee Daniels really had her blackballed, but the fact that Lee Daniels is at the time he was a director and a producer of movies, he still had to answer to Hollywood. And Hollywood wasn't trying to cast her anything at all. So, people got to look out for themselves at the end of the day. It's human nature. So it was like, Monique, you've been blackballed. You didn't play the game. And you didn't thank the producers. And you can't do that. When you win an Oscar, you cannot do that. And I said, Monique, what are you doing? And I'm going to be honest with you. I always said this from the get-go because I saw the Oscars because I'm an avid Oscar watcher. I said, Monique, you can't do this. You coming up there with an attitude. You got Morgan Freeman and Samuel Jackson looking at you sideways. And it's one thing that Morgan look at you funny because we kind of know how Morgan gets down. I personally know because my father had beef with him back in the day. I'm going to do a story time about that in the summer. Because, the stories I had with my father and the beef he had with Morgan Freeman when he lived in New York is epic. Yes, so he's a funny style cat, but Samuel Jackson is cool as F. So if he's looking at you sideways, then you did something wrong. So my mother, we like, you can't do that. You gotta thank them, even if you never deal with them again. You gotta thank them, and she didn't thank them, and that was like the beginning. But what I believe was the catalyst that basically really did it for her was when her bum ass brother Gerald Imes decided that he wanted to be a guest on Oprah Winfrey Show, and Oprah accepted the offer. Okay, now I'm gonna give you the backstory of how the public found out about her being molested by her brother. Back in 2008, Precious was being filmed in New York City. It was literally being filmed in various spots in Harlem and also in the Bronx. One of the locations where it's being filmed was literally about 15 blocks away from where I live. Like in terms of like the Avenue Strip, That's where one of the places was being filmed. Another spot where it was being filmed was literally 2 blocks away from where my paternal aunt lives. If you know about G&T, I think it's a G&T restaurant or G&M restaurant, like that restaurant where the food was real salty, but it was so good. The soul food restaurant. I hate the fact that they closed it and they still got that sign up to this day. They used to make the best smothered fried chicken and rice. Oh my God, it was so good. They used to have like good sweet potato pies. I mean, their soul food was legit, but it was too salty. But it was one of the last like old fat southern soul food restaurants that wasn't really bougied up, but they couldn't afford the rent, and that was really sad. But anyway, what happened is while they was filming Precious, she gave an interview about how she was molested by her brother. And it was because it was like coordinating with the production, the promotion of Precious. So this is around about the spring of 2008. And she was already receiving Oscar buzz for her role as Mary Johnston in the movie Precious. So she talked about it, but she didn't talk about it in terms of, I hate my brother. But it was more of, listen, this happened to me as a child. I could relate to the story Precious because I had to bottle up that pain too and keep it pushing. I'm a survivor of it. But me and my brother, we don't have a relationship. And it wasn't until I had my twin sons that I realized I got to protect them more now than ever because they are real monsters out here. And so she talked about it once, moved on. And then when the Rose to Oscars, Barbara Walters special happened, she started talking about it again. And it was smart for her to come forward with it because it was like, I'd rather tell it than somebody else tell it because somebody else may put additives in it, like saying that I was a prostitute or my daddy got me, my uncle got me, and then I was basically, doing strange things for change to make it in Hollywood. It's better for her to have told it, particularly since she was crossing over into mainstream. Okay, so the brother doesn't come forward with this at all until after she's nominated with the Oscar. So when she gets nominated for the Oscar, he calls Oprah. Oprah never went out to reach him. He calls Oprah. And Monique has said that he contacted Oprah Winfrey Show and said, I want to come on the show and tell my side of the story. And so she called up Monique as an Oprah and said, your brother is going to be on the show and such and such and such and such. And so she was like, okay, I'm glad you let me know. That's real of you. So Monique was like, I don't want to participate in it, but I know my brother, and my brother is, he's a scammer. Okay. So the day of the show is, and I saw that show when it first aired, just like Monique did. And Monique basically said, when I saw my mother, my father, and my other brother, that used to be my manager sitting there and caping for him, that's when I said, had I known that my parents was going to be on that show, I would have told Oprah Winfrey, shut the shit down because I don't need to see the world seeing my mother being greedy for money. Because there was no need for her and my parents and my father and my brother to sit there. Gerald wants to come on there, that's one thing. He got a right to tell his side. But the three of them didn't need to be there. And I totally agree with that. But because she got mad with Oprah and she said, why didn't you tell me that you was going to have my parents sitting there? She basically went at Oprah. And that was what made Oprah really mad at her. And that's the real catalyst of that blackballing. And now that you got the same brother who did this to her, coming out and saying, you got blackballed once, you could be blackballed again, can't write and spell for ish. This is the brother I believe is the reason for all the blackball. He's the real root of this shit. And we could talk about Tyler Perry, her and Lee Daniels, they finally patched things up. We could talk about Lionsgate. We could talk about all of them. But collectively, I really think that Oprah and that brother were the two people that really, really, really were the root of her being blackballed. Because if you notice, when that Tate's conversation that she had with Tyler Perry was like, "You're right. I agree with you wholeheartedly with everything you're saying." But Oprah has yet to come forward to call her and apologize. Oprah was a mastermind behind that whole blackballing, and that's because she didn't like Monique checking her about what she did, bringing her parents on the Oprah Winfrey Show. She didn't like that. And I want to say something. I don't blame Monique for not talking to her family. Her sister Millicent and her have always had a combative relationship. And it all has to do with one of them was pretty, the other one was fat, but the fat one never got on drugs, and she was in Hollywood. Monique has never done drugs. But her sister, pretty and everything, she at one time, I believe, according to the intimate portrait that Monique was featured on, the sister Millicent worked for the post office one time, but she was high on heroin. And Monique checked her because she was holding her baby while she was nodding off, and the baby was about to fall. And Monique told her parents, "Y'all gonna allow this to happen?" And it's like Monique is the child that watches for everything and like calls out the BS. Now, her and her brother Steve, they were very tight. But according to Monique, Steve was scamming her. So I'm thinking that this is a family of scammers because Monique said, "I love my mother," but this is when her mother was alive. She was like, "But she's a greedy bitch. She's about the money." The father talked a good game, but he couldn't protect his daughter. So I'm Team Monique. I don't think Monique is really gonna be blackballed anymore because I think what's gonna really save her is the fact that people are seeing her molester brother come out in the woodworks. Oh, and by the way, he's engaged to a Latina. And I talked about this yesterday afternoon. So he got a Latina girlfriend and he's a car dealership salesman. He's a car salesman for a dealership. And the family have a lot of little children. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all. I ain't saying the woman's name. I ain't doxing her or anything like that. I ain't telling y'all where he lives. I ain't doxing them. I don't do that. But he's a dealer. He's a car salesman. And all I'm gonna say is I really do pray that he's a changed man. That's all. And I'm really sincere about that. But I think he should have minded his business. Now, here's what I'm gonna say about in closing. Monique, whatever you do in life, do not make an enemy with 50 cents because 50 Cent will roast you, he will dox you, he will troll you for infinity. Okay? And this is my only thing with the 50 Cent cast, 50 Cent cast and Monique on his series. I feel as though he's doing it because of his beef with Oprah Winfrey. Because he despises Oprah. He despises her because back in 2006, and she was wrong for this, they was talking about how they couldn't stand 50 Cent's music and they called him a gangster rapper. They said he was violent in his lyrics and degraded towards women. But they upholded Jay-Z on a pedestal. And he's like, "Me and Jay-Z, we make the same type of music. How you gonna put me down, but uplift him?" So he was like, "Oh hell no, So he's been roasting her ever since. So I feel that I'm helping you. I do like you, but I'm really sticking it to Oprah kind of thing. So you gotta be careful with that too, Monique. That's the only thing. But I like this saying. Shout out to Power, Raising Kanan coming back the day before my birthday, season 2. What it do? I can't wait. I love Rock And that's what I gotta say. So moving on, I gotta talk about the DA Fani Wills or Fani Willis. I think her name is Fani Willis. Okay. So Fulton County DA Fani Willis has come forward to say she's received murder threats. Now, she says it's not based from YSL. She believes it's coming from YSL sympathizers, like basically fans. She gave an interview a couple of days ago and she said that she received a message where people are doxing her address and people are sending messages like, you gonna get got. I'm sorry, but the spelling of it and the verbiage is fucked up. Now, this is what I'm gonna say about this. It's common, believe it or not, for DAs to receive hate messages and even murder threats when they're doing a high profile case. Okay. A lot of times they get the culprits and you don't even know about it. It don't make the news. Okay. Fani Willis works and has been working in that office under the original DA before her boss. Okay. She knows the game. She knows how it's, she knows what it entails. I think Fani came forward to really prove a point that Atlanta is becoming very, 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 very violent and the violence needs to stop. Now, somebody brought up a point that I do think is really interesting, which is, would you go this hard if it was a white supremacist gang or a Mexican drug cartel or a Central American cartel gang? That's a great question. And we don't know. But what we do know is that she's going hard to really indict Young Thug for those RICO charges. And I'm going to be honest with you. I think Young Thug is going to go to jail. I think Gunna is going to go to jail. He's not going to do that much time because it's only one count. But they're locked up in there at least until January. And I think that when it comes with Gunna, I think he's just guilty by association being an artist. The big fish is Young Thug, but think about this one thing. All the people that's been around Young Thug or have like a Young Thug connection, they're all like murdered. What's really going on in Atlanta with all the rappers being gunned down? That's like the big, big, big story within the whole, scheme of this case. Why is it that? And these murders didn't just start this year or even last year. It really goes back to when Young Thug became prominent in hip hop around about 2015. But they said that he tried to shoot up Lil Wayne. We need to know who this guy really is. Is he working for somebody or what? I never liked Jeffrey. That's Lil Wayne's not Lil Wayne, a Young Thug. I never liked Jeffrey. Jeffrey is his real name. I never trusted him. It was just something about him that I felt was off. Wearing dresses and skirts and doing all of that and these young boys are seeing it. And some of them young boys was emulating him. Like Trinidad James was wearing those skirts. But Trinidad James didn't last long like Young Thug. So, moving along with that, the next thing I want to talk about, and people may not know about this story, is Ezra Miller. So I don't think a lot of people even know who Ezra Miller is. Ezra Miller is an actor. He's 29 years old. He got his big break on a show called Californication. I did my research because I didn't even know who he was until like 3 months ago. So what happened with Ezra Miller? Ezra Miller is white. I want to make that clear. Ezra Miller does not identify as a man. Ezra Miller identifies as he's non-binary and he's queer. So his pronouns are they and them. And when I tell you he's really into it, yes, he is. He's like dressed up with full on makeup, eyeshadow, lipstick, all of that. But Ezra Miller is playing a superhero called The Flash. And The Flash is supposed to premiere next year. So Warner Brothers has basically produced all these like they've had all they have had all this promotion for the build up of the movie The Flash. I've seen like bits and pieces of him as a Flash. I'm not impressed. I'm just gonna say that. I'm not impressed. But the problem is him not being the Flash. It's not him being the Flash. Ezra Miller is demented as Ezra Miller has choked women, beat up women, thrown glass at people that has hit them, even resisted arrest to the point where he threatened law enforcement, walked around drunk and high as you know what, and now it's being reported that he basically groomed a young girl who's indigenous American living in South Dakota. And he started the grooming process with her as a 12-year-old, and she now identifies as, you know, queer, non-gender, non-binary, and he was even sexually molesting her. So the parents have come forward and they basically want him to basically go to jail and be brought to justice, not in just the terms of the United States penal justice system, but their tribal justice system. Okay? Because they have sovereignty. And that's what sovereignty is. Not that made up sovereignty that you see in Harlem where they talk about their sovereign nation. When you're a sovereign nation, you got your own tribunal courts and all of that. Okay? No diss to anyone, but that's what sovereignty is. But anyway, Ezra Miller is on the run. They tried to serve him. They can't find him. They don't know where he is. My thing is, where exactly is Ezra Miller? And I'm going to talk about this today. Where is Ezra Miller? Where is Ezra Miller? Because I'm going to keep it real with you. Warner Brothers needs to find him because they put a lot of money into The Flash. Law enforcement need to find him because he's a danger. He's a menace to society, the white version. And I feel that everybody who's been a victim needs to scout him out too so they could get paid for their pain and suffering. Everybody needs to go on a hunt to find Ezra Miller. Where's Waldo? His ass. Find his ass. Because he may be on the verge of doing some other stuff because word on the curb is that Ezra Miller is a cult leader. Okay? And he gets women and even some impressionable young boys to basically be in his stratosphere, and he have them worshiping him, and they have all these rituals because I've seen the photos, and he's walking around like he's the highest, you know, from the show Ruthless, and I'm like, oh hell no, uh oh hell no, and I'm like, Ezra Miller, you need help. You're a weirdo. And I believe that somebody did something to you when you was in Hollywood. And he did come forward and say that he was sexually assaulted when he was about 14 years old, 14, 15 years old. And it was a man that did it. He did come forward and say that. He did. He really did. So it could be some frustration with him and his sexuality because of the fact that he didn't really have like an actual natural introduction to sex. And he could be mad at the world for that. And it's like, I was done dirty and I was abused. So now I'm going to abuse other people. That's how I feel. That's what he's doing. So that's my take on that. So it's like the 25 period mark. I'm going to talk about one more topic, and I'm going to say this. Okay. Tasha K, who I feel is the most talked about person on YouTube as a content creator. I don't even want to say. I believe that Tasha K appeal is going to go through. And I believe that in the notes that I saw on Sweet Pea's page, the appeal papers, she's pushing for not having to pay Cardi B the $4 million, including the legal fees, because Cardi B is a gang member. And she feels as though the judge who presided over the trial, the civil trial, did not do the due diligence of really allowing her true character to be like known to the jurors. Now, I can't stand Tasha K because of what she was doing, not just to Cardi B, but to a lot of people. I don't care about her winning. I want to make that clear. I don't care about it. I think that Tasha K has got her comeuppance because look at her views. YouTube is done with her. They don't even promote her content. All of us small YouTubers are getting way more views than Tasha K. We're getting literally, we may not be getting like even 50% of views based on our subscriber count, but we're getting at least 30%, 25%. Hell, we get even 10%. Okay. I did 2 uploads last week, and literally for my 2.9, the 4K subs, I literally can tell you that it matches over 25% of that count. Over 25%. Tasha K's views matches basically 2% of her subscriber count. That's embarrassing to have 1 million subs. And you can't even get 500K views on a video. And we're going like with 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or even a month. They're done with her. But as much as Tasha K messed up the reputation that she had, because Hollywood's not going to touch her, the one thing I will say is that for a person who studied law, she is right on that part. They did not put in evidence showing that what Tasha K said about her gang connections were true. They never said what was true. They never allowed for the use of when Cardi B basically said, oh, I basically used to drug men and take their money. They didn't allow that. They didn't even mention that she had an upcoming case trial in New York State based on assault, where she's facing 2 to 4 years in prison. I agree with that point. But once again, you were so stupid making up stories about her putting glass bottles up her vajayjay when she was a stripper, and you lied so egregiously against this girl. The statements you made were horrendous, that the lies outweighed the truth, and people have you on film where you didn't even care when people were telling you, no, Tasha K, it's a lie, don't say that. So it's like the judge basically didn't even like your ass from the beginning. You created this scenario. You didn't have to do it, and you only went after her because she didn't want to interview with you, which she don't, because you was a Cardi B fan. You even bought her Invasion of Privacy album. Okay? And I'm gonna be honest with you. I've seen some of her videos post the trial. And I'm gonna tell you something, Tasha K has calmed down a lot. Surprisingly, she's not gonna say it, but it's showing. She has calmed down a lot. But nobody really cares about Tasha K as a brand. I'm talking about in terms of the YouTubers, because let's keep it real. You're not fun anymore. You were fun before the trial was over. You was fun when the case was going on. You can't talk about Cardi B anymore. You got your subs because many people hated Cardi B. And they was team Nicki and they was team other people except for Cardi. So they basically liked you for the wrong reasons. So she still got her 1,000,000 subs, but it has, excuse me, it hasn't gone up to even 1.1 million. And you know what's funny? Her and another person who shall remain nameless make the same amount. No, she makes less. I'm gonna say the person, she makes less than Lovely T, because there's a website where all us YouTubers financial information based on our channel is on blast. That's all I'm gonna say. If you don't believe me, just go to social media. You can check it, Social Blade. You can check it for yourself. Check it for yourself. So I'm gonna wrap that up with this, and I'm gonna say I am now accepting Cash Apps during my lives. I'm gonna go live a lot on StreamYard, but I'm also gonna go live a lot through YouTube. I will say that in 2 months, I will be celebrating a half a decade as a YouTuber. And I can't believe it's been 5 years. It's been almost 5 years. And so much has happened, both good and both bad. It's been a crazy journey. And I should have put out more videos than I did, more content. But because of situations that was going on, both personally and professionally, I don't even have 500 videos yet. I don't. I see people on YouTube that have 1.2 videos, even 2K, 1.2 thousand, 1.2K videos, 2,000 videos, hell, even 3,000 videos. And they don't even have the amount of subs I have, let alone they haven't even been on YouTube as long as I have. You know, these are people that joined YouTube maybe like in 2020 during the pandemic. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I wish I really would have put out a lot of content like I did. I really wish I would have. But I'm gonna start doing reviews on this channel, even though I have an entertainment review channel, but YouTube isn't really pushing it. Even though I have gotten the views, which is good to have less than 10 subs, but I'm gonna start doing reviews on this channel again, like I tried to do the first time. And so, with that being said, it's your girl, Miss Analytical. I'm signing off and ending this live. To the 3 people that visited, thank you. I'm gonna change the title, and I'm just gonna make it like, a current events, live. And later I will talk to y'all this afternoon today. Later.